Hey everyone. Alright, just give me a thumbs up in the chat if the audio is working good. I think the stream is working good too. We're reporting live from Columbus Circle. And we will get started here in just a moment. Alright, cool. Audio seems to be working good. The visuals are good as well. And we will kick this off. So welcome everybody. Welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. Today is Friday. Yeah, we made it. It's Friday, November 10th, 2023, and it is a cold and blustery night here in New York City. We're reporting live from 59th Street, Columbus Circle. We have beautiful views of the Circle and Billionaires Row. You can see all the way up to 220 Central Park South, Central Park Tower, and the like. But tonight, let's walk all the way down to 34th Street, Herald Square, and then depending on how windy it is, because it's crazy windy here at Columbus Circle, let's go all the way over to the Hudson Yards, if the wind is not too egregious tonight. So we'll see. Now, guys, to quickly recap the week, very, very busy week, right? We heard from the Federal Reserve yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, but also go ahead and check your email. Just want to send a quick reminder. Yesterday, after the market closed, I emailed everybody the third edition of the Behind the Street newsletter. We talked about a lot of stuff. We covered Japanese equities. We talked about the WeWork filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. We talked about the U.S. manufacturing sector and some actionable ideas in cybersecurity. So if you didn't receive that, check your spam, or you could scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email or type !news in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. Also, I think we hit 37,000 people who are now signed up to watch the streams. So thank you all so much for that. Appreciate it. Stream is growing very, very rapidly. And 37,000 people is quite unbelievable. So thank you all for your support in joining these streams each and every day. S&P 500 rallied all the way into the close to not only close at the high of the week, but the high of the day. We are now back above the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average for the S&P 500. We'll quickly take a look at the close for the NASDAQ 100, the very tech-heavy NASDAQ, and that looks even better. We've closed over the swing high of that October 12th swing high at about 15,300, well back above the 50-day and 200-day moving average. All of the major indices, particularly the NASDAQ, looks to be carving out a textbook cup with handle pattern. Now, if we talk about seasonality of the market tends to perform very well headed in to the end of the year. Usually that's called the Santa Claus rally. Now, the worst month of the year for stocks is September, and that's when we really went into this correction. We've saw the indices pull back. We saw individual stocks pull back all the way through September into October, and now at the start of November, we're starting to have this really ferocious rally. I mean, the NASDAQ 100 was up 341 points today, just under 2.5%. We'll take a look at the Dow 30. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also had a really good day, closing up almost 400 points. The indice closed at 34,283, also breaking above the 200 and 50-day moving average, carving out that really nice cup with handle pattern. But let's check out some commodities. Crude oil rallied a little bit today, which is expected because We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 full trading days of price declines for crude oil. Crude closed futures trading today at $77 a barrel. For some context, that is down from $133 a barrel back in March of 2022. But this is good news because we're headed to the holidays, right? Americans are going to be traveling. People are going to be getting on planes, trains, automobiles, visiting friends, family, and I think American consumers deserve a little bit of a break, particularly at the pump. So, which is great on that front. A couple of announcements tomorrow. On Monday, we may not be live. I'm going to be doing some business travel. Also on Sunday, if you're going to be in Red Hook, Brooklyn, between the hours of 2 and 4 p.m., feel free to come over and check out our newest development that we've launched sales on. We're going to be throwing a little bit of a themed open house. We're going to serve food, beverages, everything. 199 Conover Street, which is a 22-unit, very bespoke, fantastic new development in Red Hook that is almost 60% sold out. So feel free to check us out there in Red Hook. All right, everybody, I'm going to close up the laptop here. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. So allow me a moment, and I'll be with you shortly. All right, let me untangle the microphone here. Make sure that's clipped on. All right, and we are off. Welcome to Columbus Circle, everybody. Let me just turn off the Wi-Fi, and we are good. Let me just remove this. Cool. I see Steph UF. Hey, Austin City Limits. It's good to see you as always. Richard Vogel, Teresa Diaz. Welcome to Columbus Circle, everybody. DM says hello, Tom and everyone. Welcome. British Gray from Tampa, Florida. Buy the Book says the streets look very empty tonight. You know, Buy the Book, I noticed that all throughout the day today. I'm not too sure what was going on, but obviously tomorrow is Veterans Day, November 11th. So thank you to all of our veterans, particularly the veterans who are subscribers to Walks on Wall Street. We appreciate you and we thank you for your service. But maybe because, you know, Veterans Day is tomorrow, a lot of people all the way to 42nd Street, all the way to the east, all the way to the west side, excuse me, when we did that little impromptu live stream, and it was dead, right, relative to what it's usually like during a major work day. So I don't know, maybe just people decided to take off the land and, you know, kick things off early. Can't knock anybody for that. Hey, Bighorn MT says, my pleasure, Tom, and thank you, Navy veteran here. Hey, Bighorn MT, appreciate you, thank you, and enjoy your Veterans Day. You know, I think I speak for all of the chatters when I say big thank you, sir. You know, my dad was in the Navy too. He was on the USS Carl Vinson, which is a Navy nuke, CVN 70. So pretty cool. All right, now we are outside of the Trump International Hotel. You know what I think we should do? I think we should go to Lincoln Center. We haven't been there in a while. We're here, so we might as well go. Restaurant seems packed. That's a Michelin star restaurant here in the Trump Tower. This is the Deutsche Bank Towers right here as well. Bree Graham says hello, everybody, and happy Veterans Day. Good to see you, UniJ23, Brian M. Thanks for joining us. Who else we got? Hey, Tracy says my husband was on the Carl Vinson. Ah, very cool. You know, I mentioned that I think it was over the summer during Fleet Week. We were doing a kind of like an impromptu tour of the Intrepid Museum. And I think I mentioned that, and it's so funny. Somebody emailed me and said that, you know, within the same time frame that, you know, my dad served, they were on the ship. So small world, very, very small world. This, my friends, is 15 Central Park West. This is one of the most exclusive and iconic addresses in all of New York City. And they nicknamed it the Limestone Building. Now there's tons of Wall Street titans in investment banking, private equity, venture capital, but there's also some very famous athletes who used to call that building home. And I think that may be one of the primary residences of Denzel Washington, I think. Maybe he sold his place, maybe he moved, I'm not too sure. Hey, Tom Barry. What's up, Tom? Good to see you. Mike Skate TV is joining us as well. Always a pleasure to see you. Oh, Steph UF says my dad was in the Air Force. Very, very cool. Oh, he was a pilot. Your brother was in the Army Corps of Engineers. Fantastic. Jonathan says, hello, Tom, watching from Pompano Beach. I am extremely jealous about that, Jonathan, because it's cold. It's getting cold and windy. I think I've told you guys this before. It's not that I don't like the cold. It's just the wind that gets me. I cannot stand being out in the wind. It's definitely not a pleasant experience, particularly in New York, because the avenues, particularly around Columbus Circle, it creates these crazy wind tunnels. I'm sure, a lot of the New Yorkers who are watching the live stream will definitely understand what I'm talking about. In select streets and on select avenues in the city, the wind is so crazy because the buildings create these wind tunnels. The worst one in the city is right here. Right as you come up the escalator from the subway on the southernmost side of the Deutsche Bank Tower. That is one of the worst ones. I'd say the second worst is probably right as you get up. So imagine you're walking up the stairs from the 2 train, right? All the way down on Wall Street, headed down towards the old Deutsche Bank 60 wall. That's like the absolute worst, particularly in the winter. So, yeah, not too fun, honestly. Hey, Paul, what's up? Good to see you. Goldie says my cousin was on the Carl Vinson in the 90s. Whoa, what do we have, the whole USS Carl Vinson alumni here? My God, what the heck? Yeah, Bighorn MT says the Carl Vinson is an aircraft carrier that's still in service today. Thank you, Dad, for your service. I will. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the USS Carl Vinson is also the carrier where, they did the burial at sea, if you will, for Osama bin Laden. So the SEALs, I think, whatever type of aircraft, I don't know, that was where they dumped Osama bin Laden, right there on the deck at the USS Carl Vinson. But my dad was a Navy nuke. He's a nuclear engineer. Hey, Roz999 says hello from Buffalo. On my way. Oh, it's your own walk here. Very cool. Hopefully it's not as cold. Well, it probably is snowing in Buffalo, actually. But anyway. Mike Skate TV says, man, I miss walking in the city. I got to do that in Montreal back in August. Great. Montreal is a great city. So is Toronto. All right. This is West 63rd Street, Sesame Street, and we're going to make a left. We're going to be checking out all of Lincoln Center. Hopefully the fountain is still on. I think it's still warm enough outside where they will still leave the fountain up. We'll see. This is the Smith. It's an okay restaurant. It's all right. Somebody says, do you have any advice for us what to do with our savings? I don't, to be quite blunt. I can't give out financial advice, but I will give out this piece of advice. I was on Twitter today, and I came across the best thread I've ever read in my life. And I think everybody, particularly if you're early on in your career, you got to read this thread. And the thread was written by the current CEO of Jefferies. So if you go to Twitter, or X, I don't think that name will ever catch on. I think Elon Musk just butchered that. I'm a big Elon Musk fan, but X is never going to catch on. I will never call it X. But anyway, on X, if you go follow @WalksWallStreet, it's the last thing I retweeted. It's such good career advice from one of the most successful CEOs on Wall Street, Jefferies Investment Bank. We walk past it all the time. Read that thread. It is so good. I've saved it and I've archived it in my notes. I'm actually probably going to print it out in the office tomorrow. It's such good career advice. Yeah, so if you go to Twitter, go to the either my page or the page of the CEO of Jefferies. Check that out. You will not be disappointed. Hey, NBA Alliance is here. Says, hey Tom, how are you? I hope you had a good week. Yeah, had a really good week. And the market also had a really good week too. We rang the register all the way into the highs. Pretty much all the major equity indices, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, closed at the dead high of the day and the dead high of the week too, which is good. And crude, still under $80 a barrel. We did have a little bit of a relief rally back to the moving averages, but hopefully crude will stay suppressed throughout the holiday season, so Americans can get a little bit of relief at the pump, which I think they'll do. All right, everybody, check this out. This is one of my favorite places in the city. This is Lincoln Center. Look at how beautiful it looks. Stephen Bate is here. What's up? Good to see you, Stephen. I see DC is in the house. Abdullah, welcome. Hey, Felix S. is Tom, headed to the Smith for Thanksgiving dinner. Looking forward to my trip. Well, Felix, enjoy your dinner. Now, Felix, if you're going to be in New York, you just said you are on Thanksgiving, I have a recommendation. And the reason why I'm recommending this is because the restaurant is going to close down, which is really unfortunate. So my buddy has a really good restaurant near Chelsea Market, okay? It's called Mel's, M-E-L-S. But there's also a Michelin star restaurant next to his spot, and it's called Al Coro, so A-L-C-O-R-O. It's a 2-star Michelin restaurant, and it's an Italian restaurant. But for whatever reason, I'm not sure the exact reason, I'll have to ask him, I heard it's going to close down the day before Christmas Eve. So if you want to go to a great spot, now Mel's is my friend's spot, really good friend of mine. I've known her and Anthony for a long time. Check it out. But if you're going to go to Mel's, send me an email first, okay? I will make sure they, throw the works at you when you go there. But Al Coro, I just heard is going to close down. Anybody else heard that? It's crazy. I don't know why. 1983, says Tom, I love Mel's. I was just at Mel's on Monday. Oh my gosh. If you would have sent me an email, I would have made sure they totally would have blown it out for you. I would have made sure they had you try everything. But yeah, it's an awesome spot. Fun times, good times over there. Robert is here, says hello Tom, what's up? Good to see you, Robert. Welcome. JC says, hey Tom and all. Now speaking of JC, yes, it's true all the major equity indices had a great week, right? Rallying, closing at the dead highs. But also Bitcoin had a really good week, really good week. I think we're just trading just a hair below 34,000 now. So congrats to all longs, I guess. I want to see if we can get you guys a little bit of a peek on the inside. They usually don't like filming, but the chandeliers here are amazing. You guys see that? Really beautiful. Yeah, so Jack S says, hey Tom, have you talked about Moodys Downgrade of the USA yet? We haven't. So I got that notification right as the market closed, which is crazy. Now, I don't know if they waited on purpose to let the market close and then release that news, just so the market can digest that over the weekend. But it seemed very, what's the term? It seemed very suspicious, right, for lack of a better word. It seems very suspicious. Oh my gosh, Laytha, you have your account back. You got to tell us the story of how you got that back. But yeah, that's the news. So Moody's downgraded the U.S., but after the bell. I don't know, it seems like somebody, Big Brother, I won't say who, I think we can put two and two together, said, you know what, if you're going to do the downgrade, at least wait till the market rallies and goes gangbusters into the close. So this will be buried in the news cycle. That's what I think. Not being conspiracy theorist, okay, but I mean, it's kind of a little bit obvious, right? Yeah, it's coincidental. I don't know, what do you guys think? NBA Alliance is suspicious timing with Moody's. I agree. Because think about all of the news flow that's going to happen between now and Monday, right? Yeah, Veterans Day, everybody's going to be hanging out with their family, and then you're going to forget about the news flow. It's going to be buried under so much stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. Anyway. Now, this is a really cool shot of the Deutsche Bank Tower, but that is the Mandarin Oriental Residences, and it looks like somebody's home, which is pretty stunning, because that is like a $50 million property there at the Mandarin Oriental. Jackass says, I definitely think they waited until Friday after the market closed before they released it to prevent any market panic. Yeah, it seems so. I would agree. It seems like they did that because they released it like an hour and a half after it closed. Mark the Shark, what's up? Says anything you need to know can be found in the Bitcoin Standard. That's a really good book. I recommend it a lot. And I also recommend that book. We'll get one more look at Lincoln Center from this way, and then we'll start to head down. I just love the architecture here at Lincoln Center. It's amazing. But yeah, I think the Bitcoin Standard is a really good book, even for people who are not interested in Bitcoin at all. If you don't like Bitcoin, if you think it's a scam and you're not interested in it, it's fine. Still read it and just stop halfway, because the first section of the book, I'd say about the first, maybe half. I'd say the first half of the book is really just a history lesson of fiat currencies and currency in and of itself, mediums of transaction, going back hundreds and thousands of years. It was a very educational book. It's a good read. So maybe that's good for like a stocking stuffer if you're looking for a gift for the holidays. All right, so we'll go back to Central Park West. We'll pass PJ Clark's here. Connor says, Tom, any updates with the migrant crisis in the city? I heard Eric Adams was raided a few days ago. Yeah, I heard that too. I don't have any updates on the migrant crisis, but I did hear that the mayor was raided and the FBI took his laptop and iPad and all that stuff. CPI says Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit and SPY will be up 3%. That's the way the market works. Maybe. You know, we were just talking about that. I'm not sure if you just joined the chat, but yeah, it seemed very peculiar as to why, you know, Moody's waited so long. Who knows? You know, let's cross here and then let's head down. But before I forget, guys, a big thank you to all of our viewers. I think earlier today we reached 27,000 people here. I mean, 37,000 people. That's like, when I started this, I never would have thought it would grow that big, in all honesty. That's a lot of people, and I take that seriously. So thank you for being here and subscribing. I always try to put out the best content and provide the best value for what you're paying. So thank you so much for being here. Brad's Brains is rated. Wonder what the supposed connection is. I was briefly reading a New York Post article, and it said something along the lines of, well, it's all alleged, right? I don't really know too much about it, but the campaign, like his finances in the campaign, maybe he was using it for other things, not, to run the campaign. Maybe he was using it for personal use. They also come at the mayor a lot because the mayor likes to go out and party and have a good time, right? You always see him at restaurants, bars, and things like that. So there have been allegations, and I don't know if this is related or not, to say, hey, the mayor of New York City is taking bribes and, going out to eat for free and things like that. Because technically, right, the mayor's not allowed to, if you go out to eat, and even if you're friends with the restaurant owner, you can't take anything for free, which I get. It's a very slippery slope. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with all that. By the book says, we appreciate you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hey, I see Melanie says, congrats. I've been here since you had 700 subs. That's wild. Those were the good times, my friends. Those were good times. These are still good times too. Hey, Dollar Bill says, 2 walks in a day, great exercise. I was looking at the health app on the iPhone the other day, and some days we could do 32,000 steps. So I put that in the calculator. That's almost 14 miles. That seems a little wild. Now, we don't do 14 miles when we're walking on the stream. That includes, me walking back and forth to meetings and going on my daily business. But, on the high end, it's right around 32,000. And on the low end, it's like 25, which is still insane. So it's definitely, New York City is definitely a walkable city. Let's just say that. Yeah, RPT says, looks like a nice quiet Friday night in New York City. The city was dead today. We talked about that at the very beginning of the stream. It seemed very, very empty, the city. And I suspect that's because, we'll make a left here at 15 Central Park West. Veterans Day tomorrow. People probably took the extended long weekend. So yeah, it's kind of nice to chill out. Not a lot of people in the city. Yeah, Pops Productions says Bitcoin also hit 37,000. I think for a short time, right? Is it now come back a little bit? You have 432 Park Avenue in the distance and the Steinway Tower. Now, I've always said this. This is obviously the Trump International Hotel and Tower. And I believe, and I've been up there in some of the really nice units there, I think the views from the Trump International Hotel and Tower rival some of the views on Billionaires Row, because when you're right on the corner of 60th Street and Central Park West, you have unobstructed views of all of Central Park, but you have unobstructed views of every single major building on Billionaires Row. Right, so imagine being on the 47th floor, for example, of the Trump International Hotel and Tower. You can see all of Central Park, but you see an unobstructed view of every building on Billionaires Row. So it creates an amazing spectacle for the view. I guess you could say the same thing about this building too, 15 Central Park West, which is also one of the most exclusive addresses here in New York City. NBA Elias is great work on the newsletter as well. Thank you so much, NBA Elias. Yeah, that's been growing a lot faster than I thought too. It seems every issue that we publish will grow by about 400 people. So my goal for the newsletter is to hit 3,000 by the end of the year. I think that's a good goal. And the newsletter has a very, very high open rate. I was looking at some statistics online as we passed under the Trump International Hotel and Tower. I think a good open rate for a newsletter, like a good open rate, is right around 45%. We have about 67% of people who receive the newsletter, open it and read it, or listen to it. That is very, very good. So I do appreciate everybody supporting my work. And we're right at around 2,700 readers. So thank you all for reading and supporting and sharing the work. I appreciate it. Well, it seems like it has a lot of people in the restaurant. Seems like it's almost packed. Not too many people eating outside though, because it is freezing. We have DJ reviewing under 2 here. What's up? This is Tom. I just saw on the news there is heavy protesting at Grand Central Station. Really? I was just in Grand Central Station. I didn't really see too many people there, but maybe it is now. Now, you know what's crazy to DJ reviewing under 2's comment, right, about the protests at Grand Central? I've noticed something. The city is so big that you could have a major event going on, and over 80% of the city could be totally oblivious as to what's going on. Does that sort of make sense? I mean, that's just how big it is. So I think when you see this stuff on, social media like Twitter or even, the mainstream news channels, from an outsider looking in, right, at what's going on, it sort of paints the picture that the entire city is engulfed in this, chaos and rage. But it's not like that at all. I'm not trying to, say one thing or the other, but it's just such a big city that, you could be looking at your Twitter feed right now and seeing, all these very, very venomous protesters, like so angry. And you may think that the entire city is like that. And then you turn on a live stream like this and you see everybody holding hands and walking under the Christmas lights. It's kind of strange, isn't it? And it just is kind of scary how, the media could really paint a big narrative and really blast it out there, particularly for people who aren't like in the city. But I don't know, maybe we'll head over there and check it out. But there doesn't seem to be too much stuff going on here. We did see the tail end of that protest at Grand Central Station about 3 weeks ago now. Remember that? We were walking to Grand Central and they closed down the entire station. They wouldn't even let us in. At the time, they would only allow, what was it, everybody? We walked in there, we saw the guy, he told us, they would only allow ticketed passengers inside Grand Central, because I believe there was so many people there was such a big crowd, that they had to shut it down, kick everybody out, and make sure you had a ticket in order to get in. I don't know. Ronaldo says, Tom, Portland, Oregon is exactly what you see online and on the news. I'm not too familiar with Portland, Oregon. What do we see about that? I'm afraid to look, and I'm actually afraid to ask, but I'll ask anyway. What's going on in Portland, Oregon? Yeah, that's true. Brad's brain says, I actually will heed that advice. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in my life is the following. Look at that guy on the one wheel. Is if you look for trouble, you're going to get it. 100 times out of 100 times. If you look for trouble, you're definitely going to get it. So I try to just avoid all the craziness. Hey, TK Porsche. This is the same way when you have brush fires in California. Media portrays it as if everybody is in danger. True. Octane says, do you know anyone who lived at the Dakota? I don't. I would love to get a listing at the Dakota, though. I have 2 goals for, actually, let's not go here. This is the big wind tunnel I was talking about. So I have 2 real estate goals for 2024 in New York. I want to get a resale listing in either 157 or Central Park Tower for resales. If I can convince somebody to try to sell. And in the Dakota, but that's almost impossible to do. But we'll see. I think it'd be cool. Wouldn't that be amazing if I could take you guys on a tour of an actual apartment inside the Dakota. It's one of my favorite buildings in the city. Right there on 72nd Street in Central Park West. Beautiful building. Hey Theo, what's up? Yeah, that's very true too. Theo, it's good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good start to your November. Oh, wow. Yeah, it seems like that's happening. I was just reading Ronaldo's comment. It seems like that's happening in a lot of cities now. Increasing homelessness and tents and things like that. We have quite a few viewers who watch from San Francisco, and they'll send me, will email me or like direct message me on Twitter some photos and videos of them walking to work in San Francisco. And some of the streets, I think they said Market Street or something, there's literally camping tents set up, which is wild. I mean, thankfully we don't have that in New York City yet. Oh yeah, that's right. Benioff and Musk will be in San Francisco next week. Now, Mark Benioff, obviously the CEO of Salesforce and the founder of Salesforce, arguably one of the greatest technology CEOs of our lifetime, he's actually been very vocal about the rise in crime in San Francisco. And he briefly threatened to pull Dreamforce, right, the major Salesforce technology event. He briefly threatened to pull it out of San Francisco. He said, if this continues, if this persists, we're going to have to find another home for Dreamforce. So I think we're headed into the part of the business cycle, right? And we talk about San Francisco real estate, particularly commercial real estate in San Francisco all the time. I think we're headed into the part of the cycle where there's peak pessimism, and you're going to start to see prices take a major hit. But you're going to get so much blowback. I would say the politicians are going to get so much blowback from the billionaire class, so to speak, right, in and around San Francisco, that they're going to have to change something. They're going to have to start enforcing the law. They're going to have to do something because what they're doing right now is not working. And the good news is I think it'll change. And I think the city will bounce back in a big way. And that means those investors who were brave enough to make an investment and pick up these buildings, that are good buildings, by the way, great pieces of property, you know, for literally pennies on the dollar, they're going to be rewarded, I believe. Leitha says in San Francisco, it's mostly the Tenderloin district on Market Street, and that is where Twitter's HQ is. Now, Leitha, didn't they make Elon Musk take down that the new Twitter sign, the new X sign? And I think they fined him like $1,000 a day or something for putting that up. Hey, Angelina Vito says, hey Tom, which area are you currently in? We are now in the heart of New York City's Billionaires Row. We are on 57th Street and Broadway, and we are headed eastbound. So as we walk down 57th Street, coming up, we are not only going to see the Brooklyn Diner, but we're going to see Carnegie Hall, which is one of the most famous places in all of New York City. Now, in the distance, you'll see 432 Park Avenue, right here, which is one of the most luxurious buildings in all of New York City. But right here is the front entrance to Central Park Tower. This is an Xtel development, 217 West 57th Street. This is the main entrance. And as we sort of stand on the corner here, you'll see how tall the building is. It's really incredible standing directly under it. But this is the main entrance of Central Park Tower, where briefly they had the top 3 floors of the building listed on the market for $250 million, but they've actually slashed that listing by about $150 million. Now, I'm not sure how well it turns out on the camera, but you can see just how tall it is, standing directly under it. It's kind of amazing. Now, this next building here, that's right across the street from the Carnegie Hall, I was invited to attend a broker open house on the entire 83rd floor of 157. Now, 157 was the first building on Billionaires Row ever constructed. It topped out in 2014, and the developer is Xtel. And Xtel also built the building we just walked past, Central Park Tower. So if you want to see the inside of the 83rd floor at 157, just go on Street Easy and you can take a look at some of the photos. It's unbelievable. Really, really unbelievable. In person, I mean, the photos and the video doesn't do it justice. You have got to see, at least one time in your life, the view of Central Park from the 83rd floor of Billionaires Row. It's incredible. It's just almost, I can't even wrap my head around how some people, like, that's their primary residence. It's just insane. Now, to the right, and unfortunately it's still covered in scaffolding, much like everything else in this city, this is Carnegie Hall. It actually looks like there's a show coming out right now. Big task at hand, says Tom. Have you ever been to San Francisco? I have not, but I plan to go. Vinny says San Francisco real estate would be playing the long game. Absolutely. Goldie says when they build the baseball stadium, I don't know what you mean. Anyway, let's, so this is the 57th Street station, the NQR train. And this is the Carnegie Diner and Cafe. This is an okay diner, but it's very overpriced, egregiously overpriced. If you want a very good diner, actually walk all the way down by the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And it's gonna be right on the corner of 58th Street and 9th. And it's called The Flame. It's very good, and it's cheaper than these. It's still expensive, but it's cheaper than obviously the ones right here on Billionaires Row. Hey, Go for Hokies says, good evening, Tom. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it looks like there's a show getting out of Carnegie Hall right now. Now, speaking of real estate, we just launched sales on an amazing new project in Brooklyn, New York. It's in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and it's called the Conover. The address is 199 Conover Street in Red Hook. It's an amazing property. It's 22 unit, very secluded, very bespoke property. Now, if you want to see what it looks like, I actually included it in this week's newsletter. So if you scan the QR code on your screen and scroll down to the bottom of the newsletter, we just listed Penthouse 3B, which is actually set a record, right? We were just featured in the Rob Report. It set a record for the most expensive listing ever in Red Hook. So if you want to check it out, feel free to come meet us this Sunday from the hours of 2 to 4 in Red Hook, Brooklyn at the Conover. We're going to have a lot of stuff. We'll have food, drinks, everything. And you can come check out Penthouse 3B at the Conover. So from time to time, at the very end of our financial newsletters, I'll put a featured listing. So if you want to be signed up to receive all of our financial research and be up to date on all of my listings here in New York City, if you scan the QR code on your screen, or if you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and click the link to our Substack, you'll be caught up to date on all of our very cool listings. And we have a lot of interesting stuff coming down the pike. You have the Russian tea room across the street. Anybody in the chat ever eaten at the Russian tea room? Hey, RPT, says Tom, when you bank your first 100 million, where's your first primary residence? If I had 100 million liquid, where would my primary residence be? That's a fun question. That's a good question too. Whew, that's hard. Probably somewhere in the city? Ooh, I don't know, actually. I don't know. I think that's a fun question for the chat. I'll ask the chat. If you guys had 100 million liquid, okay, taxes paid on it, it's liquid in your bank account, what would be your first primary residence, like as a splurge? It's tough because I really want to say somewhere in Miami. Like, I'd want like an oceanfront place. You know what? I guess I'd buy the 83rd floor at 157, honestly, because I used to see this building being built as a kid, and I would always look up at 157. I'm like, how is it possible that someone's going to afford to live there? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I think that'd be a cool full circle event if I bought that. So I'll say the 83rd floor of 157. That's what I'd say. And I'd represent myself on the buy side, if that's allowed. Will Ems is an old fixer-upper on 1,000 acres. That'd be cool, because you could build your own compound. On 1,000 acres, you could essentially build your own world. You could establish your own estate, pretty much. Goldie says, get dual citizenship. Edward Adams is a Soho loft for me. That's another good point. If you want to see a really cool Soho loft, check out 74 Grand Street. That's was one of our listings as well. Echo says either Scotland or Ireland. Yeah, somewhere out in the countryside in Ireland would be cool too. I think I would still maintain residence between New York City and Miami, but I would just live in a much nicer place. Somewhere near the ocean. I gotta be near the ocean almost at all times, honestly. I'm a big ocean guy. I can't be landlocked. I don't like it. I have to be at least 45 minutes to an hour at all times near the ocean. Now, the building we're looking at now is the skinniest residential apartment building in the world. It is called the Steinway Tower. The address is 111 West 57th Street. TK Porsche, Steinway Tower is muy bueno. It is. Paul Tricky says, ditto Tom, definitely for the ocean. But you know what I think is a little bit overrated, and this may cause some controversy in the chat, but I think I'm going to say it anyway. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think the Hamptons is grossly overrated and overpriced. I just think it is. It's not that great. I've been many times. Is it beautiful? Yes. But it's priced 10x everything else, and you could live further in, closer to the city in Nassau County, and you could get nice properties on the water. I would much rather have a really, really nice house right on the ocean in Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, or Miami than have a place in the Hamptons. I don't know, any thoughts there? I just feel like the Hamptons is way too far out there, unless you're going to take a helicopter. And in the summer, you can't even move out there. You can't even operate because it's so crowded. There's literally one road that goes to and from the Hamptons. It's one road, and it gets so crowded now. Oh, RPT says, Tom, my dad just left the Hamptons for Sarasota, Florida. So Sarasota is on the west coast, right, of Florida. It's funny because we were going to put on a big project. We were going to lead sales for a really big project in Sarasota. We lost the deal, actually, but you can't win them all. Ooh, yeah, Beacon, New York. So Skinny Atlas is the upstate New York Hamptons. Yeah, I would definitely go there too. Vinny says, I like the Gulf Coast, Anna Marie Island in Florida. Yeah, I mean, you know, west coast of Florida is good. But again, I don't know, I just like the ocean. Richard Vogel says Finger Lakes. Gina Thomas says west coast of Florida sucks. Too hot, no ocean breeze. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it sucks, but I definitely would want to be near the ocean instead of on the Gulf Coast for sure. NBA Elias says, how about anywhere in the Florida Keys? You know, I've never been to the Florida Keys, and I feel like it's a little bit too far away. The reason why I like Miami and Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale is because it's very close to New York City. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's thousands of miles away. What are you talking about? But I get it. But it's a 2-hour and 45-minute flight. And it's so close to everything. You have everything you need. It just feels like you're part of the action. I don't know. Key West seems a little bit too far out there. But I'm sure it is beautiful. Hey, Pam B says, love the Florida Keys. Good to see you, Pam. So it seems like more than half of the people in the chat want to go somewhere warm. Hey, everything in Miami says the penthouse of the Porsche Tower with Messi. Ooh, yeah, that'd be nice. You know what you know what building I really, really like, everything in Miami? It's sort of been growing on me. The new Ritz-Carlton Residences in Sunny Isles Beach. I love that building. It's right as you come over Haulover Inlet. I always drive past it on my way to my house. I love that building. Have you been in it? Do you have any clients you've purchased in there or bought in there? Hey, Diana, thank you so much for your very kind $10 donation. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for supporting the live stream. Brian M. Says, I think Messi ended up buying a house in Miami. I wonder if he sold his penthouse. Did he really? I heard that he bought closer to Fort Lauderdale. Because supposedly he's only going to play like 1 or 2 years in Miami, and then he's going to leave the MLS. At least that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. Justin B says, how about a penthouse somewhere in Seattle or Vancouver? That's where I'd go. I just need it hot and sunny all the time. Seattle, doesn't it rain every day there? I'm just not a big fan of that climate. Crow Dog says, of course, why does Florida population increase? Partly because it's a very big destination for retirees. But you know, Steve, we've been talking about real estate a lot. Steve Roth is building out what he's calling Hedge Fund Row in Palm Beach. He's constructing a brand new Class A office tower up in Palm Beach. And there's been some murmurs that they've signed some pretty big leases too. So there's a lot of big financial industry headed to South Florida. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Also share the show with your friends if you think they'd like it. Let's take a quick pit stop at 53 West 53rd. Even though this isn't on Billionaires Row, it's still considered a Billionaires Row building. Ooh, TK Porsche to San Juan Island. Sounds very beautiful. Don't let the weather deter you. DJ review in under 2. It's time you need to visit Amila Island in Northeast Florida. Let me take a screenshot of that. Wow, Mariana, Texas is Tom. I had a Canadian couple sign up their retirement house they just bought in Georgia for gas service. Huh. So people from California are coming over to Georgia. It's probably for lower cost of living. I'm not too sure what the cost of living is in Georgia, but I would assume it's a lot less than California, right? Hey, Pup is here. What's up? Good to see you. Yeah, Edward says hurricane season in Florida really scares me. Yeah, but it's all about, you just got to run the probabilities, your risk reward, right? 90% of the year, you're going to be living in paradise, right? With a huge tail risk. So you have a massive tail risk. Particularly, you know, what if a hurricane hits again like the one last year that hit Fort Myers? Everybody remember that? That devastated Fort Myers. So it is a really big risk, but those events happen, you know, even less than 10% of the year. It happens for a day and then, but it can do some serious damage. This is a Brazilian steakhouse. I've never eaten here. Anybody eaten here? This Brazilian steakhouse? Someone says, Tom, I live in Atlanta and it's getting more expensive because of all the transplants. I wonder what that must be like. You know, if you're a native of Georgia, Atlanta, and ever since the pandemic, you've just been seeing waves and waves and waves of people moving to your city and state. I mean, I've been seeing it in South Florida. You know, I took a quick trip to Miami 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. And you know what I saw? I think I told you guys this already. Whoa, look at the facade of this building. It looks like a crystal facade. That's insane. Anyway, so I'm starting already to see Canadian license plates, Quebec and the like. And usually you don't really start to see that until after the holidays. But I had to go down there real quick. I had to fly down there to get my bike out of the shop. And number one, I noticed the traffic, even though traffic in Miami is always horrible. Regardless of what anybody tells you, the traffic in Miami is, I would even argue, worse than New York. So I try to stay off the highways. But the traffic was insane on Collins Avenue. And you usually don't have a lot of those snowbirds coming down until after the holidays. But I think they're coming down sooner and sooner every year. People are already there, particularly Canadians too. Which we welcome, right? I'm not complaining. Love the Canadians. But just something I noticed. Beacon, New York says Florida is sometimes known as a poor man's California. I don't know about that. I mean, Ken Griffin is building a $1 billion personal estate there. All right, Fifth Avenue. NBA Elias says, I wonder if people moving and buying property now in Florida are going to have homeowners insurance issues. Yes, they are. And you know, it's not just Florida. You know, I'm dealing with some developers that are building product in Brooklyn, New York, and in Queens. And it is a major issue, and it's, you know, turning those deals upside down right here in New York City. So it's really this. If you're near the coast in any flood zone, the insurers quite honestly want to have nothing to do with you. Or if they do insure you, they're going to bang you, and they're going to freaking make sure you know it. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you what I pay. This is St. Thomas Church here. Beautiful architecture. But my place in South Florida, I think I pay like $4,500 a year for my homeowner's insurance. And that's not in a flood zone. That is not in a flood zone. So the trick to South Florida is to look to buy, if it's gonna, assuming you're gonna buy a single family house, right? Not in a condo or something like that. If it were me, I would only advise to buy in flood zone X. Now, if you're looking at, you know, $10, $20 million mansions on the water, that's not going to be possible. But then again, you probably don't care as much. But if you're just starting out in real estate and you want to buy a cash flowing property or a starter home, I would look to stay in flood zone X. And even with that, it's $4,500 a year. So imagine on some of these more valuable homes, right? Insurance premiums are really, really going up. I have a good friend who owns an insane place, a crazy penthouse in downtown Miami. And his monthly maintenance has gone up drastically per month on his place because of the insurance on the whole building has gone up, right? So your HOA has to factor that in. And that's going to be a problem for a lot of places, you know, not just Florida, but New York, California. But you're right to bring it up. It's definitely something you need to factor in, for sure. All right, this is Cartier. Looks like they're putting up the holiday stuff. Hey, Theos, Tom, our commercial flood is $12,000 a year in West Florida. Wow, Theo, holy crap. Now that's really concerning to me. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, I don't know. I feel as if, assuming, my prediction is the following. For those that don't have a mortgage on their home, you're probably going to see more and more people go without insurance. Because quite obviously, right, if you have debt on the house, if you have a mortgage, you have to have insurance. The bank is going to require you to have it. But I feel as if people, you know, if they have their home paid off and they're getting these quotes for like $12,000 a year, they're probably just going to go uninsured. I don't know, any thoughts about that? This is some cool art in here. This is the Eden Fine Art Gallery that is now inside the old Versace store. Hey, Estelle is here. What's up, Estelle? Hey, free MPLS. Yeah, some providers pulled out of California and Florida altogether. You're right. But you know, if you look at some of these places in South Shore, Long Island that are in flood zones, right? Like I have a couple friends who own single family homes in Long Beach, right? And just, you know, I think all the New Yorkers, when you hear Long Beach, you know, Five Towns, all that sort of area, South Shore, Oceanside, well, they got really hit really bad during Hurricane Sandy. I mean, so much so that some of the homes in Long Beach, they had about 5 inches of sand, not water, like 5 inches of pure sand in their homes. So those insurance premiums are crazy too. It's really wild. Hey, the Hopeful Artist, thank you so much for your very generous and kind $20 donations. Thank you for the stream. I'm watching with my mother. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you have an amazing weekend. And I wish you and your mom the best. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. This is St. Patrick's Cathedral. The Hopeful Artist, thank you for your donation. Octanes as New Yorkers don't have to worry about hurricane season like Floridians. Insurers can charge Florida premiums. Well, yeah, it's the same thing. We just went over it. I mean, if you look at places like South Shore, Long Island, even some parts of Brooklyn and Queens, you're going to see very competitive insurance rates with that of Florida. Hey, Al Baker says, Tom, I live near the water in Hollywood. Insurance is out of control, getting ready to move. South Florida was a great place to live 30 years ago. Yeah, now that's a big problem, right, Al Baker? Because I was reading some of the other comments about, you know, it's not wise to go without insurance. I agree with you 100%, but here's the problem. You know, think about Al Baker's comment right now. He's like, hey, Tom, I've been in Hollywood, Florida, which is a beautiful place, by the way. Hollywood, Florida has completely changed. I was up there not too long ago. He's like, look, I've been here for 30 years, and he's like, I just can't afford it because the insurance is so crazy. That's pushing original Floridians out. You can see some of the Christmas lights that they're going to hang up. So just like what has been going on in New York, particularly in some of the boroughs like Brooklyn, it's becoming all gentrified and pushing, you know, original New Yorkers out, forcing them to move. You're starting to see the same thing in places like South Florida, Long Island, right? If you're a born and raised Long Islander, you know, back when my parents were my age, they could easily afford to buy a starter home on Long Island. Now, I mean, think about if you're going to buy a halfway decent single family house on Long Island. You're looking at, you know, at least $600,000 bare minimum for something that's going to be in a safe area, right? And they go up to like $800,000. It's the same thing I think is going to happen to South Florida. So a lot of people who are choosing to forego the insurance are people that may be retirees and they can't afford to pay the $7,000 to $10,000 a year premiums. So it's definitely a good point. All right, this is Saks Fifth Avenue. Hey, Zozo Bob's is 30 years ago, South Florida and Hurricane Andrew. So why insurance rising so much? I'm not too sure what the question was. All right, let's cross here and let's see what's going on with all these barricades. Did the Christmas tree arrive yet here in the city? But anyway, guys, I think that's a good conversation to have, right? I mean, insurance costs are going up all across the country, and you know, I think something's got to give. I think something's got to give because you know, you can't just have insurance premiums go up astronomically year over year and expect people to afford it. It's just not going to happen. So it looks like they're getting ready with all the barricades for the Christmas tree to come here. Is this for the lighting ceremony? I don't know. Usually that happens after Thanksgiving, doesn't it? Oh, tomorrow it's gonna come. I didn't know that. Seems like there's a lot of security here.
I don't care about this shit.
Got a state trooper. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every day starting at 8:30. We'd love to have you a part of the chat. Ah, you're right. I think you guys are right. It's going to be here tomorrow. Now it's going to be placed right on that spot right here. Let's see if we can get any closer. Do you think it's going to come like tonight, or is it going to arrive literally tomorrow? It seems like there's a ton of police cars down there, so maybe, is it going to come in tonight and they're going to put it up tomorrow? All right, so this is 30 Rockefeller Plaza, the very famous and iconic address. And on this little pad here is where they're going to have the Christmas tree. So if you ever visit Rockefeller Center, there's like a very big, what would you call it, like a token where it actually marks the spot where the Christmas tree is going to be. It overlooks the ice skating rink and it overlooks Saks Fifth Avenue all the way down there too. How do we get out of here now? I mean, we'll go back the other way. Oh, you know what you can see from here too? You can see the very top of 270 Park. Look at this. So they're just topping out 270 Park Avenue now, and it's visible all the way from Rockefeller Center. Pretty cool. We'll exit here. Now, we've been talking about how there's so much vacancy in the city in terms of commercial office space. Above the NBC studios, the Today Show studio, it's completely empty. And they're actually going to turn this into luxurious hotels. So this is going to be a conversion, not from, what do you call it? Not from office to condos, but an office to a very, very upscale hotel. I think it's going to be like a 190 bed hotel, something like that. Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit overkill on the security for the Christmas tree, right? You would think the Christmas tree knows something that we don't. Now this FAO Schwartz, this used to be right where the Apple store is. Inside the GM building. They've moved it over here.
Oh no, I'm walking back to my apartment from
Ooh, looks like somebody got towed. Oh, you know what, everybody? I think this is just the line for Saturday Night Live. You guys see this? There's people lined up sitting in this little crate here with this guy being towed. Let's check it out. Maybe, I don't know, it looks like someone big is on Saturday Night Live. Seems to be a lot of people.
Are we loading the tree in? I can't leave on it. Huh? I can't leave.
Wow, everybody's sitting on the floor. Oh, I forget who asked the question yesterday or earlier today, where they said, what's a great place to buy a briefcase? Right in this store here. This is fantastic. It's like an Italian, I think it's called Piniter, I think. They have all, this is the brand right here. It's from 1774. This is what I'd recommend. This place right here. If you're looking for a very nice briefcase, this is a good place to get it.
No, it's because when I'm sober,
Oh, someone says they're waiting for Taylor Swift. Is that right? You know, she just became a billionaire, I think. I think her show, or her tour, was the highest grossing tour of all time. right, you know what, guys? We're unfortunately going to have to end it. I thought I brought my phone charger with me. I didn't. I left it at the office. But if you enjoyed the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. And again, I sent out the newsletter to everybody. So please check your email if you didn't receive the newsletter and you want to sign up to receive all of our research for free and all of our new listings in New York City. Scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, or type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to the Behind the Street newsletter, and we send that out every other Thursday after the market closes. If you enjoyed the live stream, leave a like on the video, click the subscribe button, share the show with your friends, and we will see you tomorrow right back here in New York City at 8:30. So thank you for joining. Danny, I appreciate it. Jonathan, Brad's brain, good to see you. UniJ23, Colton Manning, Abdullah, everybody, have a great weekend, be safe, and who knows, maybe tomorrow we'll be walking past the Christmas tree right here. Take care.